card, some crazy factor to keep your enemies guessing.
We'll see whether or not Mankler gets his hand on the wild cards of Twisted Fate in this game, as we have entered picks and bans. Gotta keep Freak's power strong. And right out the gate, we have two AD carry bans. Tristana taken away from Double Lift, and Ashe taken away from Zuna. Follow suit. That's 3 AD carry bans.
All right, we're getting off to a good start here. This is going to be an interesting game. Double Lift, though, would probably win out in this let's ban all the AD carry games because he has played the most different champions of any AD carry in the LCS. So he actually has LCS experience on a wide variety of AD champions here. And meanwhile, Zuna, he usually trends towards something like the actual Tristana that they banned out, or the Kog'Maw.
I want to see how this plays out, because this means Elise, Jace, Shen, all of these champions that we tend to value very high priority are still available for selection. And it's basically Christmas come early. Grab what you can and build something around it.
So they're leaving up globals for CLG here. The Shen especially is a pick that definitely CLG put a high priority on. And Double Lift said that they actually feel like they've shored up their weaknesses because they had, the last time they had Shen, they had a loss anyway. But they've talked about what went wrong in that game, and they think that they figured it out.
We'll see what CLG does decide to lock in, because they have already run Gragas.
Shen.
Not this time round, it's been stolen away.
They can't have two Shens.
Well, many people wish that you could. What we did see from CLG was that they did run slightly different champions. We did see a Gragas yesterday. It didn't work out very well, but they're also experimenting with different champions, and that would be something very different. They're swapping through a lot, so we're not going to get too excited until something gets locked in.
So yeah, so there's two things you can do, or there's multiple things you can do against a Shen. One is having a very high burst damage potential on your team, because Shen will usually stand united on the AD carry or the middle mage because they're the squishiest. If you can burst that champion down through the shield, then Shen will never arrive with stand united, and you can actually just steamroll that fight because you're going to have the numbers advantage. Or you can have a duelist to go up into the same lane as Shen who can actually interrupt him.
And then right now, both of these champions looking like they can at least cause some difficulty as they get swapped out. You've got Elise, that is a good duelist if that's been thrown up in the top lane. Thresh has all the interruption, and it's going to be a chance to Thresh once again, trying to channel his performance from Dignitas earlier today.
So Elise, the reason that she is a good Shen stopper, I guess, is because of the percentage damage of her kit. And if you do send her to solo versus that Shen, she's got a gap closer, plus she has a hard CC to stop that Stand United. So you pretty much cover all your bases there. Shen, he always builds health because he scales so well with health, and Elise feeds off that.
And we'll see where they're going to throw that in there, because it could also be given into the hands of Big Fat LP, a very disruptive jungler in that side. Over for Vulcun, they have once again locked in that Nunu.
Speaking of disruptive junglers.
And Nunu, I'm going to be honest, we haven't seen very good performances from Nunu players of late. I think the last 2 weeks, Nunus haven't really been hitting home runs for me.
So the early game is so important when you are running Nunu. You definitely want to get down the early vision control, because if he gets off to a bad start, then you lose so much potential. You can't invade the enemy if their lanes are overpowering your lanes, because they will collapse on you and catch you inside of their own jungle where they can actually fight you. So you have to get off to a good start to be able to really make use of Nunu's full potential.
Early vision might be very, very crucial for Vulcun as we see this game unfold. Over on the other side, Double Lift has locked himself in Ezreal.
Your unintentional pun there.
Unintentional pun.
Home run.
The Malphite. So that's probably going to signal for us most likely the top lane. I would imagine we'd see Malphite in the top lane with Elise in the jungle, and Link is basically leaving his mid-lane counter pick for last. And it's something that you see Red side doing very, very often, waiting to see the entire encapsulation of your opponent's team and then saying, we want to pick this to counter it.
Yeah, I think you're right with that solo lane Malphite instead of the jungle, because there's a couple things that you want as a jungler. You either want really nice clear speed, or you want really nice ganks, or you just need to be able to farm to carry. So Malphite, he has a very low clear speed, and his ganks pre-6 are just pathetic. So he is missing two of those key components to being a good jungler, and so that's why he's not run very often as a competitive jungler.
Very harsh words on jungle Malphite.
They're pathetic.
We'll see.
Let's be honest.
True, though.
Those pre-6 ganks are pathetic.
Vulcun have wrapped up their composition. We're going to see another support, Zyra. This is a support that's gaining popularity in the last couple of weeks. There's a few players already picking it up. Bloodwater, the shot caller for Vulcun, is going to be trying to defend, protect, and set up this AoE zone control in conjunction with that Nunu, and it's a combo we've seen multiple times before. Absolute Zero plus the Stranglethorns on top of one another.
Just picture right now how much area on the map you can actually cover with the control here that Vulcun are bringing. You've got the smallest circle that is Orianna, a Shockwave. The CLG are going to want to try and avoid that one. But then also, like you're saying, the Nunu and the Zyra. So that basically fills up half your screen right now that you're looking at for a team fight. And it's definitely, it gives Twitch the opportunity to set up his positioning to be very, very safe, which is key for Twitch because he doesn't have any escapes of his own.
We'll have to see how well Zuna's going to be able to position himself in these team fights. Assuming that Smithy and Bloodwater can lock down those zones, it's going to make his job a lot easier. To round out the composition for CLG, Link is locked in the Ninetale Fox, so we're going to see another matchup of this Orianna versus Ari, and it's, again, one of the priority mid laners.
And you can tell with both solo laners, CLG are looking for people that can get to that Twitch. Ari repositions 3 times in a team fight, so she has one of the best chances of anybody, and Malphite with the Unstoppable Force is just going to go straight for him. So
another mobile team here.
Yeah.
You know, everybody in CLG has the ability to move in different manners, of course, not quite Dignitas level, but you know, still very effective. We are going to be loading up into Champion Staked, and I guess a lot of pressure is going to be on Doublelift once again. He's playing that Ezreal. We've seen him build modified blue Ezreal in the past, and he's got a record of 9-4-7 against Vulcun. Not quite as shiny as some of the other KDAs we've been talking about.
Still pretty standard. You know, that's a positive one. That's nothing to scoff at here. Another thing to note about that CLG composition too is that they have a sneaky Baron stealing team that they can hop the back of the Baron wall with those jumps that you're talking about. And Elise has a good kit built for taking down high health targets. So CLG will have to watch out if they do go for one of those sneaky Barons hopping over the back of the wall.
We'll have to see if they can. You can see the teams are on your screen. It is, of course, Vulcun on the blue side taking on Counter Logic Gaming on the red side. We're going to be loading up into this match. It is the final one of Week 7, and there's a lot on the line, a lot to play for as both of these teams trying to hold on to those playoff positions near the top of the pack.
And you can tell that Vulcun do put a high priority on that early game. They rush out of the gates here, spreading up, and Nunu even starts with boots so he can get there faster to place those wards and capitalize on the early vision.
And you were highlighting how important this early game is going to be for that Nunu. I guess the mobility of boots plus that blood boil, once he skills it up, is going to be so important in maintaining a grasp on that. CLG stood right on top of a ward, and they may not be aware of that thanks to Nunu's speed.
Pretty sure that Vulcun are going to look for one of CLG's buffs this way because they have plenty of information on the entire team of Counter Logic Gaming, and they know where they are starting out.
Bloodwater does get a deep ward down on the blue buff, which is the trend that we've noticed for at least Week 7 as far as the NA LCS is concerned. Teams less interested in reds.
So that's 3 out of 4 buffs on the map that Vulcun got vision of. And they're definitely putting themselves in a good position to start this game off.
We'll have to see how well they can make use of it, because all the information in the world means nothing if you don't act on it. And that's really what matters, as we're about 30 seconds away from those minions and monsters spawning up. It does look like the CLG are going to be sending their duo lane to the top lane to try and make Psycho Sid's life a little more uncomfortable.
Yes, it definitely doesn't matter if you don't act on it. Actions definitely speak louder than words in League of Legends. And invades are more powerful than wards just standing there. So it's going to be CLG actually the ones starting on this blue buff. We'll have to see if Doublelift and Chaucer actually decide to try and grab that one before Nunu arrives. And both AD carries are actually, both pairs are starting blue buffs here.
So we do see Psycho Sid at least moving in range to try and contest this one. Mancloud's going to try to come around as well, level 1. They've interrupted the steal, which means Doublelift and Chaucer put a little bit further behind, while Zuna and Bloodwater have secured the buff.
Yeah, no contest there from Nien. So CLG are down 1 buff right now.
Well played to Vulcun. Ironically, not the Nunu securing the map control, the Twitch and the Zyra working in their favor, but they stacked up in the bottom lane.
And there's no ward for Nien either, so he's in a dangerous spot right now. He has to be careful about going for those CS, and he knows it.
So Big Fat LP has stood right on top of a ward. He's trying to claim back the buff that was taken from them. Down in the bottom lane, you can see that numbers have moved into lane. Smithy actually just shows himself, decides against trying to set any sort of kill up, and instead is going for this 3v1 push.
So Vulcun actually dilly-dallied a little bit too much there, and they sort of threw away that small early time advantage that they had by taking the blue buff first by looking for that kill on Nian. They were hoping that he would get greedy and step out a little bit further into the lane, and that's why they just waited in the bush out of vision.
Good play by Nian to, at the very least, not put himself in a disadvantageous position. He's backed away from that tower. You can see the same thing has happened by Psycho Sid. He's still yet to accrue a CS number. And in all of the games today, it's basically been about strangling your opponent's top lane and trying to deny them from as many early resources as possible.
And I don't think that we're going to see the same thing that we saw earlier in the day where both teams push the secondary turret, because CLG know that Vulcun with Nunu could easily transition into that dragon after a double turret trade. So they actually send Big Fat LP home to be able to contest that one.
So it does look like Big Fat LP will get there in the not too distant future. Smithy taking a couple of auto attacks there from Ntanso's Malphite, and once Big Fat's Elise is in range, it's going to make life a little bit more difficult, a little more risky, especially with the threat of those cocoons.
Very, very risky, actually. He does land it onto Zuna, but gets snared.
So the threads, the needle, does manage to go out. Big Fat swaps back to spider form, toying with the idea of repelling up in the air, and basically just gets bullied out of the lane. Chowster and Doublelift, though, they've not relented, and they maintain control of this top lane. That's 50% of the damage already done to this inner turret.
And they don't even have to place wards in the blue side jungle, because every member of Vulcun right now is fighting minion waves, so they have vision of the entire team anyway.
So well played by CLG to start pull themselves a little bit ahead. They've done more damage to their opponent's tower than what they have received to their own inner tower. And Counter Logic Gaming will just be looking to capitalize on that early advantage.
So as soon as Nunu recalling pulls out of vision, Chazzer and Doublelift do the good thing, pull back off, and they're going to go to base. So
they managed to pick up a couple of items. Vampiric Scepter already completed for Doublelift. Slightly different to the Ezreal builds that we've been seeing all day, where they pick up a Tear of the Goddess as a first item. And right now we'll see how Doublelift transitions himself into the mid game, as they're going to try and fend off this very, very offensive Zuna and Bloodwater.
They've got their entire team of CLG here on the dragon side of the map. So if they're able to pick off one of these members of Vulcun, then they can easily turn that into a dragon after.
So the cocoon is available, the volatile spiderling goes up. Big Fat LP, can he land the skill shot? The cocoon lands onto the weed. Now they're going to carry on fighting. Flash is available for Bloodwater. He's not going to need it. Chowster throws out the death sentence, and everybody just walks away from that one. CLG couldn't get past that slow Ling Vine.
Chain not quite long enough, and Doublelift hadn't really followed that attack because the minion wave was shoved up so far. He would lose out on guaranteed gold of last hitting this minion wave for the possibility of a big reward in killing someone. And we'll have to see how that choice does pan out. Link does hit level 6.
He manages to land the charm into Man Cloud. The Ignite is ticking away. So he just ends up just using ultimate to back in and out a couple times. Man Cloud gets away with his life.
And CLG, when they had all 5 members down on the dragon side of the map, were not able to capitalize since they spent so much time chasing Zuna and Bloodwater. And it has allowed the Shen to get that solo lane farm, and he's almost level 6 now.
We'll see how quickly that can work out in their favor. Once you see both of these top laners hitting level 6, the influence they'll have in team fights is going to be immense, especially when you consider that there is a teleport there for Nian's Malphite. So at any time the Stand United is used, you could see a follow-up teleport Unstoppable Force, or you can even see the Unstoppable Force used to cancel that Stand United.
The big thing right now is if Psycho Sid makes use of this giant wave that he's built up by just last hitting that top lane, so he can get a bunch of damage onto this turret. If he had backed off right now, then that would have been just a whole bunch of free money there for Nian.
At least at the very least, Nian is keeping himself even with his opponent. 28 to 29 CS. The numbers are very, very close across the board, with the exception of Zuna, who's about 15 behind that of Doublelift. They've got a pink ward down on this dragon, so they've got full control of this one, and with the plantlings of Zyra to tank up this dragon, it should make it a little bit safer.
Yes, that plus the healing from Consume that Nunu gets is enough to tank up Dragon even in the early stages of the game. So great job by them capitalizing on that Nunu pick.
giving themselves a nice advantage of about 1,000 gold before the 10-minute mark has even landed. Smithy is going to dodge out of the way out of the cocoon. That was well played. If that had caught, you can definitely think that Double Lift would have dove right in there. Now, Chowster, throughout the death sentence, did not connect with anybody. Has it available in a little bit of time if he wants to try and re-engage a fight.
Very lucky dodge right there because they didn't have vision of Big Fat LP in the bush. And he was just moving in to tap the golem there.
Link was looking to set up some damage there into Zuna. Does have his ultimate available if he wants to dive in and out. Now Vulcun, they've grouped up. They've decided to stack their numbers in the mid lane. They're going to see if they can apply some damage on this tower.
And like you said, both of these top laners do have the possibility of joining any team fight. Psycho Sid has not gone back to buy, but Nien has only been able to buy a chain vest. So the powers are pretty much the same here. And when you have a Malphite with teleport, it's actually not as ideal as something like a Shen Stain United, because Malphite, you generally want him to be at the beginning of a fight so that he can start things off with the unstoppable force. Whereas teleport takes a few seconds to actually bring him in, and having him come in halfway through a team fight, not quite as effective.
And the signals of the teleport allow your opponents to reposition, so we'll see how well Niantansu can make that work for him. Seen Skara trying to make teleport work for him earlier today. To a lesser effect, let's say that way, not quite working out in their favor. Now Zuna, he's been all over the map. He started out in the bottom lane, has now moved himself up to this top lane, and he's sitting right in front of a level 6 Niantansu.
Very confident right now. Zuna's always been one of the most bold AD carries that North America has. He's not afraid to solo split push a lane without any vision coverage, and it's very dangerous, especially when you're in a lane with a Malphite that has his ulti.
I guess maybe he's anticipating the Stand United to be there in case of emergency. Break ultimate glass, so we'll see.
Yeah, if that did happen though, the reason it's so dangerous is because of the burst potential I talked about. Twitch is so squishy that a Nien plus a Big Fat LP could just rush him down through a Stan United shield, and then it could turn against them.
Azuna's feeling the pressure right now. He's 40 creeps behind his opponent, Double Lift, and he's basically just trying to do all he can to farm his way into a relevant position. We've seen how long it takes to get that Infinity Edge built up on a Twitch, and that's really the crucial item for your spray and pray. Get those critical hits through your entire enemy team.
Vulcun are doing a really good job of controlling the vision though. As you can count the wards on the map right now, the Nunu effect is in place. He's got very deep wards on the red side jungle, and now they're turning this into a 3 versus 2.
They managed to just break the passive there of Niantansu's Malphite. The wave is cleared out thanks to that splash damage that Malphite does have built into his kit. And they managed to fend off the tower push, but Smithy has not left the lane. He's still sitting there with both Zuna and Bloodwater. Now this is turning into a party as Chowster arrives.
This is a very risky party to attend because CLG, true to form, have Double Lift as their split pusher.
And there goes Link. The shockwave does land. They trade ignites back and forth. Link forced out of the back. They do trade a lot of damage, but no kill secured for either player.
So the reason it's dangerous to have Double Lift as your split pusher is because Psycho Sid could join that party up top, whereas Double Lift couldn't do anything to stop him and couldn't join either.
So it does look like Double Lift is going to decide to back away. Manamune instantly picked up there at the 11-minute mark. He's farming his way into a very powerful position early on. In comparison, his Vamp Scepter is only evened by Zuna's Vamp Scepter. But to be fair, Zuna hasn't gone back to buy it.
CLG aware that Psycho Sid wants to use his Stand United, so they're sending Double Lift to the rest of the team. And they're just going to keep it up to Ahri to handle Shifter or ManCloud in that mid lane. So it's going to be an even 4 vs 4 fight if they do actually initiate it.
As far as the fights in the mid lane are concerned, Link effectively won the first trade, forcing ManCloud back. ManCloud effectively won the second trade, forcing Link back, but no kill has been secured for either player. One thing that is working in ManCloud's favor is he is the one that's got the gold advantage thanks to that additional creep score.
And Double Lift with the Muramana now, or the Manamune now ticking up. It's basically a short timer left on the until that one does upgrade. Then he gets a huge power boost, and the slow sort of pace of the game is definitely working for him right now because Twitch is going for the Blade of the Ruin King first. He's not rushing an Infinity Edge.
We'll have to see how quickly he can get himself to that. Definitely a slower pace game here between Vulcun and CLG. 13 minutes on the clock. We have seen a dragon secured already. You can see the timer is counting down. 1 minute to go. And it's something that you know, Vulcun were able to sneak under Counter Logic Gaming's nose in the first attempt.
And just in time for the Dragon spawn, we do have both of the teleporting solo laners return to the same lane. And they're going to be heads up here, so if the fight does break out, they're ready.
It's almost like they know this, Kobe.
It's almost like they time objectives. Doublelift, though, being up top, well, he's leaving top now.
Making his way down to this mid lane as Chauster's poising himself closer and closer to Bloodwater, swinging that chain, trying to set something up. The tower's very low.
All right, so here's what just came together for CLG. They had Doublelift top, pushing the lane into the top turret, which forced Don't Mash Me to go and try to clear that minion wave up and pick up the gold. That was timed with the Dragon spawn. So CLG do have Don't Mash Me a little bit out of position.
And that small window of opportunity is rapidly closing. The shockwave goes out, only catches minions. Mancloud gets charmed up as the box goes down. Chauster's on the retreat. He does manage to flash over one of the walls, avoiding and mitigating that powerful slow. Absolute Zero goes down as Mancloud secures first blood thanks to that Orianna. The spider drops down and the rat eats him alive.
And that is the difference between the teleport Malphite and the Stand United from Shen. They just told Nian, nope, it's too late. Don't even waste your teleport to come in here. And they just lost the fight after that, also giving up Dragon.
That small window of opportunity CLG had towards the Dragon was taken out. Zuna is going to stealth himself up, looking to ambush somebody, but Nintansa has already recalled, and Dragon number 2 will go fairly safely into Vulcan's hands.
Zuna, Don't Mash Me, same thing. They play Twitch.
I wasn't going to say. We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant, Kobe. Dragon has been there secured 20,000 gold in favor of Vulcan to 17,000 in favor of CLG. Only that single tower on the board as far as CLG are concerned, and with all the time Doublelift has spent in these side lanes, it hasn't accrued to more tower or objective damage just yet.
Looks like we will have a contested blue here as the collapse comes down from CLG, and Malphite's actually in the area this time. Bloodwater rocks right by the charm!
He manages to avoid it. The flash over the wall as Link comes in. They're going to trade 1-for-1 as Big Fat LP has gone down. The first unstoppable force of the game throws up Mancloud and Psycho Sid as they turn their attention now to X-Smithy. Doublelift has joined the fight and he's got so much damage to work with. This is CLG back on the board as they grab 3 kills. A taunt goes out from Psycho Sid as Link gets pulled to safety by Chauster. A ride in the Dark Passage. He lands the death sentence and Psycho Sid is sentenced to death. Chauster is here.
Oh, yeah, he definitely earned that graduation from Thresh School there. Just showing, oh, wow, the death sentence save right into the full length, or the, take it.
The lantern save into the death sentence kill, Kobe. I think that's what you wanted to highlight. Right now, CLG, they put more pressure on this mid-outer turret. They'll pick up turret number 2, and all of a sudden, CLG back in the game.
Whew, there we go. That was a perfect collapse. Thank you for the Thresh spells there. CLG definitely just made up for the non-teleport earlier by Nian. And that's brought the lead a little bit less, but they're still trailing by a good 1,000 gold.
We'll have to see how well they can play this one out, because one thing that was lacking in their match, Counter Logic Gaming's match against Curse, was the ability to make plays stick. At any time they tried to invade and steal a buff or contest an objective, they got caught out. Right now, Link is trying to take the blue. He's been caught. The shockwave goes down once again, whiffing. Doesn't get the damage, but thanks to the cooldown's command attack, will secure the kill.
Now, Shen Stand United still not up, so CLG are looking to contest this one.
So Big Fat LP, he's dropped low. Absolute Zero gets channeled. Attack and distance, shredding his HP. Big Fat drops back down to X-Smithy, sinks his fangs in, but not going to be enough to kill the Yeti. Unstoppable Force is not yet available for Nian. They end up getting another kill, and Vulcan looking to take control.
That is the best opportunity for a Nunu to channel Absolute Zero. When he's in one of those small corner bushes, you don't get vision, and the only way you know you're in Absolute Zero is because you're slowed. And it takes a moment to realize that he did a good job right there getting some nice damage and turning that one around.
It does allow Vulcan to secure their 3rd tower of the game. The bottom inner turret gets dropped as Doublelift is trying to at least get some pressure into that mid lane tower. Psycho Sid has been given all the time in the world, and he secures the 4th tower of the game in the top lane.
Plus, he has his Stand United available, so even after that, if there was a follow-up from CLG, then they could turn around. So Vulcan did a great job there, not letting up. After the CLG invade, they they were not disheartened at all. They went to go contest and caught Link off guard.
So it definitely worked into their favor, and it's something that we were talking about and highlighting as an important factor in this match when you run a Nunu, to have that vision and to have control of your opponent's jungle through superior vision, and it's something Vulcun have been doing successfully for the last 20 minutes. And you can see on their team, 2 pink wards, 3 green wards, it's just vision all the way down the line.
The thing in the back of Vulcan's mind right now, though, is Zuna's farm. He's been spent so much time fighting here that he's way behind double lift.
Zuna, however, is not going to be afraid of Link. The charm did miss. Now Link goes in with the ultimate. Stand United comes down. Zuna should be able to pick it up. This heal from the passive of Link saves his life. He gets the spell bump in, lands the charm. Now Zuna gets dropped. Zuna walked into that one.
Link with the plays. Oh, if you're a CLG fan right now, you are definitely praising him. Not only did he burn the Stand United, but he did come out with the kill in the end anyway, and Zuna's overconfidence cost them once again.
Well played by Link in that one. As you can see, double lift landing those long-range Mystic shots, slowing ManCloud down as the rest of CLG decide to apply controlled focus on this mid lane. Bloodwater off to the side. He's trying to root somebody down.
Zuna had been given a second chance. He'd been saved and just served it right back up to Link on a platter, going to face check that bush. It was really fortunate for CLG, but I'm sure that there will be some heated discussion over at the Vulcun house.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see how that one plays out post-game. At the moment, we're tied on kills. It's still a 3,000 gold advantage in favor of Vulcun, thanks to those dragons and towers that they've been able to maintain control of. And CLG, they haven't tried to take map prep control back.
Yeah, they're definitely still feeling the gold difference, so they know that they've been given a couple of small wins here, but they're not getting overconfident. Zuna, again, he's looking for another fight here. And Link with the prep, he's got a pink ward on this bush. He saw Zuna get into this bush.
The charm lands, Zuna just gets eviscerated on the spot.
Stop trying to go heads up with Link. Okay, so let's just shout out the positive light of that. The previous time where Link killed Zuna. It just goes to show that's why, as what Link did, he went to go recall inside a bush. That's why you always go for the extra safe recall and not stand in full vision of your enemies, because if you had been recalling in full vision, then Zuna might have been able to get off, you know, an auto attack, expunge or something. But because he went the extra mile there and recalled inside of a safe bush, he was able to get another kill.
That is a very, very scary Link right now.
Man.
5-1-1. Deathfire Grass completed. He's got a blasting wand in his back pocket as well. He's been involved in all 6 of his team's kills. And if anybody gets caught by that charm, you have to feel he's going to follow it up and just insta-gib anybody.
He is loving this bottom lane right now, too. That is a crafty fox. Prepping up that kill with the pink ward in the bush. Just beautiful play by Link, thinking ahead.
Yeah, planning, envisioning that Zuna was going to return to that lane and try to pick up some farm. We do see that he's going to carry on landing those auto attacks down in the bottom lane tower, as the rest of Vulcun are actually trying to push down that middle lane and try to take some tower damage.
He's going to get the bottom turret, and Dragon is available. So this brings up the next discussion of the team fight around Dragon, where the battle in the top lane is going to be just as important as the battle around Dragon. Both of these top laners can interrupt each other's channeled teleports. So really, it's whoever shows their cards first is actually going to lose.
Very importantly, that Stand United has just come off cooldown not 5 or 10 seconds ago. So if they do want to throw that down as a play or an option, maybe that's the choice. You can see Link has been thinking about recalling 2 or 3 separate occasions, as this Dragon engagement is a talking point for these teams. But instead, he's going to maintain the split push power.
And we do have the 2 main items of the Blue Ezreal build completed. You talked about the order being a little bit different than normal Blue Ezreal. Double It sort of skipped the Elder Lizard part of that build because of the recent changes to it. And he just got into the main 2 items here, which is the Manamune and the Iceborne Gauntlet, which is the key strategy with Blue Ezreal, where you rely on all that kiting potential from the Gauntlet.
And it's something that we actually see Double Lift doing more often than not, is picking up that Bloodthirst as one of the first items. So we'll see if he decides to pick that one up, or maybe he goes for that Blade of the Ruined King. Dragon has been leashed and pulled out a number of times. Psycho Sid winning out this trade against Niantonso. And Nian still sitting at about a 700 HP. He's just farming up the wave and backs away.
This is really dangerous for CLG, actually. I talked about the top lane fight being just as important as the 4-man fight around Dragon. And Psycho Sid has won that top lane fight by forcing Nien back to base now. There's a very small window while Nien is trying to heal up at the fountain, and they're going for it.
The True Shot Barrage comes across, doesn't manage to land it. Neither Smite nor Consume lands the last tick of damage, and it actually goes to Zuna's Poison or Expunge damage, but nonetheless, secures the 3rd Dragon of the game for Vulcun, and they maintain this healthy gold lead.
So Dragon was assured there by the Nunu pick, but really, you got to give that kill over to Psycho Sid because of the fact that he forced Malphite back out of lane.
And you see now he's going to carry on going toe-to-toe. Instantly pops that barrier that Malphite does have built in. Double-Up joins the party. He has red buff as well. Mystic Shot applies the slow, follows up with a second Mystic Shot. Auto attacks continue the pressure. Unstoppable Force locks him up in the air. Double-Up lands one more auto attack, and they secure that kill.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an unnecessary Unstoppable Force or just a good call to secure that one, because a red buffed blue build Ezreal who already has his Iceborne Gauntlet has perma-slow and can hop walls with Arcane Shift.
So nevertheless, playing it safe, making sure they grab that. Xmithy's thinking of picking a fight. Big Fat LP's been rooted, and this is a fight on 3 different fronts. Immediately, Bloodwater's forced out of the way. Chowster puts a box down, but it's a little off-center. Link is going to be the first victim. Actually, he goes down second after Chowster is dropped. Now the rest of Vulcun have regrouped. They've got a 3-man. They're trying to chase down anybody they can. Mancard's going to have Dissonance up in a second. He flashes forward, attack into Dissonance. Big Fat LP flashes out of the range, but they haven't given up. Zuna's got ambush on. The cocoon lands onto Mancloud, and there's no Unstoppable Force.
Could really use that right now.
That is so important. Man, a Big Fat LP's gonna get dropped. Zuna secures another kill and picks himself up some buffs.
Again, a non-teleport from Nien because he doesn't have that ultimate available here. And the Stand United's used just to tank up Baron. They're going to go try and brute force this one because there's no Smite available for CLG.
We'll have to see how quickly this works up. 7 seconds on that True Shot Barrage from Double-Up. 5 seconds on the clock. 3 seconds. Will it be enough? No! The Baron goes down quickly enough. He's forced to Arcane Shift to safety. He's going to use that kiting potential of that Frozen Fist to his advantage. Zuna can get a slowdown. He may be in trouble, but Arcane Shift gets him out.
The story of the last 3 fights is actually CLG's pick on Psycho Sid hurting them in the end. Because of the Malphite ultimate being used there, they didn't have it available for the team fight, which led into a Dragon. Just a complete snowball of the last 10 minutes here for Vulcun means that they really have the upper hand in the next push, and they can make CLG pay for that. Mismanagement of cooldowns.
And you have to give props to Vulcun for understanding the weakness of their opponent's team. Even with a man down, they realized that no Unstoppable Force and no presence from Nien meant they could pick that 4v4 and ended up working in their favor.
And they knew that it's fine for all of them to spend flashes chasing Big Fat LP, because without the threat of the execute from Elise combined with a smite, there's nothing that can steal away Baron from Nunu's Consume Smite combo. That's too much true damage, and that's why they felt so confident doing Baron this early in the game.
And Vulcun finally extend that small 3,000 gold lead to a 5,000 gold lead plus the Baron buff, so effective gold is even higher, and that means they're trying to grab hold of this match and remove CLG's control.
Link's answer, though, because so much of the money has gone to that Ahri, is building full burst damage. If he lands that combo, he can assassinate someone.
Xmithy gets pulled back. The taunt lands onto Niantonso, but it's not available for anybody else. Yeah, it's forced out of the fight. He lands a knock-up onto Mancloud as the True Shot Barrage flies across. Everybody's HP bars is dropping low. The first kill is secured by Big Fat LP, but Zuna turns on the pressure. Spray and Pray was shredding through the CLG HP bars, and they trade 1 for 2.
Chowster threw the lantern to Link to get him in there so that Link can use a Spirit Rush offensively and burn someone from 100% to 0, but it was immediately snared by Bloodwater. It's just such a great grasping root from Bloodwater to lock up Link as soon as he joined the fight and made him turn defensive instead of bursting someone down.
Well, the rest of Vulcun, they carry on focusing on this mid lane. They pick up their 5th tower of the game and they start looking towards that inhibitor tower. Instead, decided maybe safer to back off, get some more vision in the jungle, and look at that mini-map. The Vulcun vision is insane.
I have to shout out Bloodwater's presence of mind, too. The fact that he saw immediately, as soon as Chowster threw back the Dark Passage, he cast his grasping roots to land right when Link comes in, stopping him in that tiny second between the arrival with the lantern and the activation of his Spirit Rush. Basically taking out the richest person on CLG from the fight.
The scariest person on CLG as well, the one that's responsible for bursting people down. Zuna's had 2 engagements now where that safety net of the Nunu-Zyra combo has played into his favor because he's been relatively untouched in those fights. The focus for CLG has been on other targets. And yeah, fair enough, they've got them. But it's really an Infinity Edge Blade of the Ruined King Twitch that you want to be focused.
Right, that's the target that Link is trying to get to, and that's why they're spending all these movements to try and get Link into position to take out Zuna at the very beginning of the fight. And that's why that was the most crucial play of that last one.
So the onus is definitely on Link to avoid any of those roots and snares and lockdowns that Zyra offers in a team fight. Vulcun, they managed to spend some of that money that they have accrued and continue to apply focus on this mid lane. It's interesting that they haven't grouped up as a 5-man yet. I know they've got the Shen on their team as a split pusher, but they're not focusing very hard in any of these lanes. They're relying on just pushing it past the river and then seeing, hey, where can we go after a couple of minutes?
And look how CLG have had to adapt to this one. They've got Big Fat LP down there trying to answer for the Shen because he's the only one who's strong enough right now
to deal with that Sunfire Cape Spirit Visage Shen. 184 CS. He's actually a little bit behind that of Niantonso, so last hitting a little bit lacking, but it's more than made up for when you look at double. If he's got 100 creeps above that of Zuna, so he's hitting that power peak. Muramana completed, Last Whisper completed, Iceborne Gauntlets completed. It's a very scary Ezreal if any of these team fights can go prolonged.
And for the viewers, yes, that is a blue elixir on Psycho Sid. Link here is hunting Psycho Sid. He's going for the 100% burst on Shen.
Spirit Rush is available. He's going to carry on diving. There's a bit of magic resist there for Psycho Sid. He's going to carry on chasing. Forced to flash. That's an instant flash forward. The Orb of Deception comes out. True damage go down, and Link's going to pick this one up. Took a bit of time, but that was a fairly easy kill for him.
Well, that's why they're sending Link down here. I said he's the only one strong enough to deal with Sid, and Sid was so confident that he didn't have wards protecting his blind side on that blue buff. Now it's CLG who have the man advantage.
The last time CLG focused on killing Sid, the following 5 minutes did not work out in their favor. Let's see how they handle it this time as Link continues split pushing in this bottom lane.
Well, they've still got the Nian Unstoppable Force, so any dive by Vulcun would be very ill-advised at this point. And all CLG had to do was hold that turret with the top 4 men because they're getting the advantage by Link solo pushing bottom.
It does look like Dragon has respawned, so Vulcun aware of the timer. Going to additionally replace some of the wards in and around the blue buff area of CLG and position themselves to pick this Dragon up. I think it'll be the 4th of the game for them in particular. And it does look like that CLG is simply too far away to contest this one, so another Dragon secured.
While that was a great move by Link and he was able to pick up the solo kill, we always talk about kills being not as important as the objective that you get after a kill. And since CLG were not in a position to get any objective after that, it didn't hurt Vulcun all that much. And they just had to wait for Shen to revive, and they still ended up getting the objective after the fight anyway. So they didn't actually come out with a net loss. It was a gain.
It begs the question whether or not CLG even had the timer on that Dragon, because it didn't look like anybody was moving towards it. We've seen Double fire out a couple of true shot barrages at Dragons, at Barons, at buffs to, you know, maybe try steal and even just get vision, and that didn't even happen this time around. So maybe CLG just a little bit hamstring. Link may be able to catch Bloodwater. This is a scary position.
Link is very deep in enemy territory right now. He's actually surrounded by enemy champions. Bloodwater's the squishiest though.
Oh, the charm didn't land. He's going to use that Spirit Rush, and that's a lot of damage onto Bloodwater. Link using the last dashes to get to safety.
Traded his Spirit Rush for the flash of Bloodwater, which is a good trade since there's so much cooldown reduction on Link right now, having popped that blue elixir. They'll take that one as another win. And really, all of the plays right now being created by Link because he was the only strong member of CLG from the early game. It's up to him to make these plays happen.
ManCloud trying to get in range to get an attack down. Doesn't manage to dodge that Mystic Shot. So the slow from that Iceborne Gauntlet just paying dividends right now. You can see how difficult it is to engage on that Ezreal. True Shot Barrage goes out to flight down the rest of the lane and just reduce the HP of the minions following up, meaning that Vulcun's focus or pressure they can apply to the tower is extremely mitigated.
It was actually a little crooked too. Didn't even get the next line of minions there.
So I'm overthinking it. Seen it fly down the wave and it didn't hit anything. Right now, Vulcun, they've stacked up in the jungle of CLG. They got vision control thanks to Bloodwater's Oracles.
It's up to Vulcun right now to close out this game because this is where they've been stumbling recently. They haven't been able to capitalize on all these leads that they've gotten. So CLG still have plenty of hope for this game, and they're counting on the misplay from Vulcun. The only thing is though, they're gonna have to get vision of that Baron area if they want to capitalize on it and go for that steal.
Chauster's doing the best he can to at least get in and around the area, starting to put wards down, and you can see that Psycho Sid and Nyantonso still hanging out, this time in the bottom lane, as there's no towers there for CLG to fall back to. Sid's just trying to get the best kind of counter push he can. You can see that Vulcun, they were looking to set something up. They were looking to bait people in CLG's jungle, but CLG played it very smart. They didn't face check.
Now, Zuna knows that CLG are looking to just blow him up with the Malphite and the Ahri, but for his defensive item, he's gone with Quicksilver Sash. And you can't cleanse an unstoppable force, and when you're knocked up, he doesn't have enough life to withstand multiple spells, and all the spells can come out while he's knocked up. So I have to question if maybe a Banshee's Veil or something would have been a little bit safer of a choice for his defensive item, or if he's just counting on that zone control that we put so much emphasis on early with the composition that Vulcun are running here.
We'll have to see how this works. Big Fat LP throws out the cocoon, doesn't connect with absolutely anybody as Vulcun are just hanging around the river. You can see that with the Oracles on, with all the vision and the wards that are going down in and around, Vulcun have made it very, very clear where their sights are, what they want to target for this couple of minutes of gameplay. Psycho Sid and Nyantonso, once again, bashing heads in this bottom lane, but that's going to be a very long, extended, drawn-out fight.
And if Nyantonso can keep Psycho Sid down in the bottom lane, then Zuna's item choice is actually really good because he can cleanse off anything besides the Unstoppable Force. He can cleanse off Cocoons, Charms, or Death Sentences.
CLG were completely split up as they tried to apply pressure down in the mid lane. They split in the bottom lane. True Shot Barrage goes out. That didn't even connect with the Baron. Nunu manages to secure that one. It's the second Baron of the game in favor of Vulcun. And split decisioning from CLG. They were in 3 different locations on the map.
And you definitely want your Malphite to be there if you're going to start off a fight around Baron Pit. That's the whole point of the AoE ultimates there, is to grab people when they're grouped up. So they would have had to tell Nien to teleport up there preemptively, but without the vision and without the confidence to get that vision, they didn't have the choice.
Smitty gets caught up by a cocoon. Chauster is now a little bit extended. We'll see how this fight erupts as Nien is now joined. Unstoppable Force is available and everybody's here.
I love this move by Psycho Sid. The reason they lost when they had Shen and Twisted Fate yesterday was because Psycho Sid used his Stand United on Nunu, and it was not a high priority target, and then the squishy damage dealers went down. Even though Smithy right there did get caught out, Psycho Sid held the Stand United, and you can tell he wants to use this on Zuna. He's looking straight at Zuna.
Learned from his mistakes is one of the key things you have to do in the LCS. Take each defeat and figure out what not to do. Double F does have his True Shot Barrage available. Their sentence goes out, doesn't connect with anybody yet, and that's a lot of damage that's gone down into Mancloud. CLG, they want to pick this fight. Xmithy gets charmed backwards. Shockwave pulls Big Fat LP and Nyantonso back. Absolute Zero, insta-channel, insta-cancel. The first victim is The Rock. He gets smashed down, and Unstoppable Force was simply not enough. Psycho Sid Stand United was instrumental in helping them pick up that victory. 2 people of CLG down.
And Nien was holding on to his Unstoppable Force the entire fight to use on Zuna, but he never got the chance. Psycho Sid had a great taunt on Nien in the very last seconds of there. Before he died, there was no chance for the Unstoppable Force to ever come out, and it was a great job by Zuna staying away from that Malphite.
Well played by Vulcun, and Zuna is definitely showing some development in his AD carry. Definitely been caught out a few times too many in the laning phase. At least he hasn't been caught out in this team fight phase. They get the first inhibitor of the game, and there's a very big minion wave in this bottom lane. Vulcun look like they're going to capitalize on this one before CLG can react.
Yeah, you do have to give props. He's finally made the good positioning moves there, because it's so easy for Vulcun to control space on the map with their Nunu, their Zyra, and their Shen, that he doesn't have to be up far and extended like that.
That death sentence was so close to catching him out, but the movement speed from Ambush just enough to throw him out of range. And Nien came running in with home guard boots, but it wasn't enough. Vulcun already on the retreat.
Almost bit my tongue off there talking about Zuna's positioning, but he was able to skirt away.
Scoot out of there in safe time. And 11,000 gold lead is going to be extended even further by yet another dragon secured by Vulcun. That's something we talk about in many, many games. The team that controls the dragons tends to control the tempo of the map, because if you're moving around and roaming and got vision and can get into that fairly open place without losing anybody, it's a good place to be if you're a team in the LCS.
Free dragons, definitely a good place to be. We heard in the interview, was it Lemonation, I believe, talking about the importance of especially the early game dragons and how you can turn those into leads later in the game, and that's why most of the teams that do retain control of the dragon and the timer are able to come out with the wins.
The CLG hiding themselves in a bush right now, pitching a tent.
Ah, yes.
Having some s'mores.
The age-old last-ditch effort, bush sneak attack.
And we'll see if it can pay dividends for them. They have very little vision. There's a blue buff up that's calling Vulcun to it, saying you can take this buff. There is an exposed inhibitor in the bottom lane. Doublelift is revealing himself. He was even trying to play a little bit of bait in that lane, and with the exception of Nien, the entire CLG team was it. They've just decided to back off as Vulcun have been spotted in the mid lane.
Yeah, Doublelift just pinned a target right on him himself, and he was hoping that Vulcun would bite, but they took too long, and now CLG are forced to defend this turret.
Mr. Vulcun have now got a little bit of damage onto the mid inhibitor turret, but not enough time to actually take that one down. Doublelift has not only picked himself up that Bloodthirsty, he's got another Vampiric Scepter completed as well. So a very late game Ezreal build.
Late game Ezreal, but he can't do much against a Vulcun team if Vulcun switches their focus from mid over to the exposed inhibitor that's just down bottom. Hey guys, you don't have to fight at that turret. You can go get another line of super minions if you really want it.
It doesn't look like they really want it yet. Zuna throws down the ambush. He's stealthed up. He's going to get that immense attack speed increase in a moment or two. Nintonso is around. Ground Slam goes down, and he's got the unstoppable force if he decides to throw it. If a rat reveals himself, he'll be throwing himself at Zuna.
He's definitely going to want to play the team fight just like the team fight up top, where Zuna uses his Nunu and his Shen as a shield and always keeps one of those frontliners in between him and Nien. He wants to stay away from that Malphite. That's why you call them frontliners, is because the Nunu is supposed to be up in the front along with Shen, and the Twitch is supposed to be behind them.
The battle lines have been drawn. Mangcloud gets taunted up. True Shot Barrage goes down. Zonya's Hourglass comes up. Now Psycho Sid flies forward. The Unstoppable Force does land in the background. The first victim of the fight is Mangcloud as he's dropped. The Shockwave was not even used, and that is so crucial. This is a good fight for CLG. They are cleaning house. Even with a 5-man taunt, Psycho Sid is not going to have enough damage to kill Link. They get away unscathed for a 4-man kill.
Oh, Zuna's not the only important one on this team. Mandatory Cloud is their other damage source. We don't shout him out usually because his positioning is always so perfect. But right there, he does make the mistake getting caught by Link's Charm again. And him going down early meant that so much threat was not there for Vulcun, and the zone control of the Shockwave, which is crucial, never even went off, allowing Nien to get his clear Unstoppable Force off on Zuna.
There are some immense death timers on the clock right now. They secure their 4th tower of the game. CLG starting to close this gold gap. They should have enough time to get onto the inhibitor turret, and might be playing a little risky if they stick for the inhib.
They are going to be able to get that inhibitor turret, and they don't want to take that risk. So they take the small step to get back in this game, and they're going to wait for, again, Link to make a play and Link to be the CLG hero. Really, everything's on Link's shoulders right now. He is the reason that CLG are still in this game.
The first match between these two teams lasted 43 minutes, as we highlighted in the preamble to the game. We're about to break that record for yet another time in a CLG matchup. Baron has respawned for the 3rd time this game. This is going to be the 3rd Baron of the game. Whoever decides to go for it in Link, this is very brave. He's surrounded by members of Vulcun Command, and he's standing his grounds.
The reason he's so brave is because of the success he's had so far.
He just completely destroys ManCloud, but gets locked in place by Psycho Sid's taunt, saving ManCloud's life. Now with Link down and 2 exposed inhibitors, Vulcun, they just switch into high gear and try to rush down the inhibs.
Oh, not this time, Link. He wasn't able to burst down a target, and it's very dangerous to stand there as well without true sight because there are invisible players on Vulcan's team. Now that the playmaker for CLG is down, Vulcan, don't hesitate.
So we see the taunt going out. Psycho Sid locks down Nien. Big Fun LP dives onto Zuna. Unstoppable Force locks up a couple members of Vulcan, but crucially, Zuna is still alive. He's being dropped. Finally, he's in and amongst the mixture. Double lift with a double kill. Triple kill secured. He's probably going to pick up the Quadra as this one as well. Does pick it up. Manages to get Bloodwater out safely, but 4 more kills for Double Lift.
The inhibitor on the bottom side is going down to minions right now, and CLG don't look like they care. It's going to be a minion success here. That it's actually, this wave will take down that inhibitor if they don't send anyone back. It looks like they would rather take the mid inhibitor of their own.
And we do see how quickly they can get this one down. 35 seconds on the clock. Chauster does decide to recall. Double Lift using that arcane shift to get as far forward as possible, and Link has respawned, so Link is going to be moving towards one of the lanes while Chauster clears the other. He's saved the bottom lane inhibitor, they've saved the top lane inhibitor, and all of a sudden, Vulcan, they're going to be thinking back to their loss against Cloud9. It's going to be ringing in their ears because we're in a very similar situation.
Very good call there by CLG, counting on the home guards of Link to go save that bottom inhibitor from the minions. So they did come out with the advantage, and now they're wanting to turn this one into a Baron. Are you kidding me?
We'll see if they can secure this one right now.
There's no vision for Vulcan right now.
They have nor do they have any global presence of getting there quickly enough. ManCloud is trying to get there as fast as is humanly possible. True Shot Barrage is up, and it does look like they're going to secure this one. Baron secured for CLG, the first of the game for their team, and the 4th one in total in 44 minutes.
Jat talked about LCS games being stressful to watch. I think I've lost my mind here because CLG are mounting what looks to be like a extremely successful comeback. They're the ones with Baron now. They're the ones with the inhibitor already killed for Vulcan. So they're the ones that have super minions marching on the map.
All of a sudden, they need to use all of those advantages in their favor and take control of the map. It's the one thing CLG has not had for the last 35 minutes. I'm going to go out that far and say that Vulcan has been making the moves, making the plays more than CLG. And all of a sudden, that 3,000 gold lead from the 15-minute mark is still a 3,000 gold lead at the 50-minute mark.
Yeah, CLG don't even care. Okay, another dragon? Go ahead, tack that one on. Link's typing worth it in all chat there. Even his solo death down by Baron sort of caused Vulcan to be overconfident and dive the mid turret. So they're feeling extremely happy with the last 5 minutes of this game.
It's going to be very difficult for Vulcan to get onto Double Lift in these team fights. They don't have an Elise or a Malphite to dive past the front line of CLG. And as long as Double Lift is not caught up by a Shockwave or a Root, you kind of have to feel that the team fight power is in their favor.
It's really... Oh, here we go. The teleport from the end coming in.
We'll see how this works out for him. He's going to try shut down Psycho Sid. The rest of CLG are in fact chasing him. So it's going to buy Vulcan time. Stand United gets used. Oh, gets cancelled by the Unstoppable Force. Psycho Sid hoping to get out of that one in the end. That was a blind dive as well. He just assumed that that was going on. Psycho Sid's going to be perma-slowed here by Double Lift, and there'll be yet another kill credit secured for the members of CLG.
The reason Yen went for that is because the only way Psycho Sid could get out of this alive would be channeling Stand United out of vision in that bush. So he went through the options that Psycho Sid had available to him and just crossed that one off the list, guaranteeing him a kill.
Very good play and decision making from CLG, and particularly in Anton. So 0-2-13 on that Malphite. He is as beefy and as tanky as is possible right now. Frozen Heart, Sunfire Cape, Randian's Omen, Chain Vest, and a Negatron Cloak. So a mere 3,500 hit points with 380 armor and 350 magic resist. It's very difficult to kill.
This is sort of ironic that Vulcan are running a Protect the Zuna composition, which used to be CLG's strategy where they did Protect the Double Lift, and they got a whole bunch of criticism from the community and from everyone about that strategy. And now they're the ones on the other foot here. looking to take this one, but Chaucer gets caught.
That's a Stranglethorn thrown down just to catch out Chaucer, and we'll see whether or not the investment pays off. They've traded 1 for 1, and Mangloud, the mid AD carry, is down. Unstoppable Force throws up Bloodwater, throws up Zuna in the air. That's Zuna down. CLG have brought this one back. There are over a minute on the death timers for these teams. They secured the 3rd kill of the fight. Zyra passive goes out, and Double Lift says, I don't care, bro. I'm on your Nexus turrets. They should be able to close this out.
It's going to be CLG showing why they abandoned that protect the single AD strategy, and they're the ones coming on the Nexus turret.
So we see Psycho Sid and Smithy doing the best they can. The Taunt pulls a couple of them off for a few seconds. His Link may go down in the background. He's got enough lifesteal and survivability to last a couple seconds longer before finally getting shut down. Double Lift still focusing on the turrets. The last Nexus turret will be falling. They're going to turn their attention to the Nexus, and CLG pull back another game against Vulcun. Vulcun losing in the late game.
I want to hear their reaction to this. It doesn't even seem like CLG are surprised at this comeback. They're just like, oh, yep, caught him in the late game there. All according to plan.
Game lasted 4 minutes longer than their previous encounter, 43 minutes, and Vulcun are devastated. Absolutely devastated. After being in control, the team, they need to figure out what to do. They need to figure out what button they need to push to win once they have that advantage.
The buttons you want to push are Q, W, E, and R, Trev, in this game.
And
but you can see right there, we had Mentor Cloud raising his hand. He knows when he face checked, or